Hi there, welcome to Nauctis on YouTube. There's the process of scrapping or dismantling decommissioned ships. The most common method is to break them into several parts before further breaking them down. In some places, the dismantling process begins by beaching the ship on the shore. However, some ship breakers have dedicated yards along the Alang coast in Gujarat, India. On its final journey, the ship must float steadily and hit the beach, where it is beached and stopped. Upon reaching the shore, the engines are turned off and the anchors are dropped to stabilize the ship. Afterward, workers pull the ship onto the beach with the help of strong chains, cables, and machinery systems. This is a job with a very high level of difficulty and risk. Sometimes the ship's chains can break during the process, causing unfavorable accidents and significant losses for the workers. However, before the ship dismantling process begins, the ship's fuel tanks are completely drained to prevent accidental explosions. Then, scrappers take over the ship, exploring it and finding useful items that may still be usable, including flags, plumbing, electrical cables, electronics, furniture, and machinery. The next step involves the ship's supervisor and other authorized personnel inspecting the entire ship and deciding on the actions to be taken. When the actual ship dismantling begins, the ship breakers are armed with various torches, elbow grease, and sledgehammers to bring down the ship's anatomy. The dismantling period can vary from 2 weeks to 12 months. Technically, there are no basic guidelines on how to destroy a ship. The observational intent and countless project experiences of the advisors are more taken into account in this process than any book knowledge. However, strict safety guidelines need to be followed by everyone involved in the ship dismantling procedure. Unused aircraft are left in designated final storage facilities. However, some planes undergo recycling. In addition to reducing aircraft waste, this recycling process helps airlines minimize losses from unused aircraft. Typically, the recycling process takes a long time, up to 12 weeks. The aircraft recycling process begins with the dismantling of the most valuable part of an aircraft, the engine. The price of an aircraft engine can reach 80% of the total price of the aircraft. With the engine, the aircraft can fly at high speeds, allowing us to reach our destinations quickly. Usually, after the engine is dismantled, technicians inspect and repair it for installation on another aircraft if it's still operational. However, if it has suffered irreparable damage, the engine is disassembled into several spare parts. The next stage involves dismantling other components in the aircraft, such as flight deck instruments, black boxes, air conditioning systems, flight controls, landing gear like wheels and hydraulics, fuel systems, and cabin interiors like doors and windows. The aircraft's landing gear is the last part to be dismantled, leaving only the aircraft's metal body supported by wooden stacks. Almost all parts of the aircraft can be resold, from flight control buttons to doors and windows. Next is the stage of destroying the aircraft body using an excavator. The aircraft body is crushed by the excavator's giant claw into smaller pieces of metal. This makes processing into scrap metal easier. After becoming scrap, these metal pieces are shredded using a special crushing machine. The crushed metals then undergo a separation process to remove non-metallic materials still mixed with the aircraft body fragments. These non-metallic materials become actual waste. Afterward, the scrap metal is sent to a metal smelting facility to be turned into other items such as beverage cans, biscuit tins, bicycle frames, and much more. Not only metal, other parts of the aircraft are often reused, such as the used seats sold for household furniture. Even the flight deck is used for simulation or training of aspiring pilots. Like aircraft, unused cars are usually left to disintegrate or be recycled. One of the essential components in a car that is often recycled or destroyed is the engine. Engines are made of strong metal and designed to power vehicles and other equipment. The engine destruction process uses a special crusher with a slow speed but high torque. This allows the machine to effectively chew large pieces of metal. On an industrial scale, large pieces of metal are fed into the crusher, which then moves through a feed pipe to the shredding section. The shredded material is separated into ferrous and non-ferrous materials using magnets before being carried on a conveyor belt, and finally transferred from the other side of the machine into two separate piles for further sorting. The crushing process also helps separate iron from non-ferrous metals and other materials such as rubber, plastic, and fabric. Moreover, the crusher can separate magnetic metals from non-magnetic metals and materials, allowing for maximum value extraction from the scrap iron recycling process. These non-metallic components are discarded for further recycling. After being crushed and separated from non-metallic components, the small pieces of metal are sent to a facility for melting in large furnaces. From the furnace, the metal is purified to ensure high-quality material free from contaminants. This process involves electrolysis, which uses direct electric current to trigger a non-spontaneous chemical reaction in the material. From here, the metal can be cooled and solidified, ready to be used as raw material for manufacturing new products. In addition to being used as jewelry, gold is also used in various electronic devices. Gold is a chemical element in the periodic table with the symbol Au and atomic number 79. Gold is a soft, shiny, yellow, and heavy transition metal. Gold is used in electronic goods because of its good electrical conductivity. However, the gold content in electronic goods is only around 0.13%. Although small, imagine if the electronic waste increases, the amount of gold that can be extracted will also increase. The equipment for extracting gold is also not expensive and can be easily found in chemical stores. The first stage of recycling gold from electronic waste is pre-treatment through a leaching process to determine the maximum gold extraction under conditions using electronic waste. This process uses ammonium thiosulfate and pure gold is released from the solution. After the leaching process with thiosulfate, the gold binds to the thiosulfate solution, which then undergoes further separation processes to obtain pure gold. For leaching using 𝗤𝘂𝗃𝗂, the process is similar to using thiosulfate. However, the difference between the two lies only in the reagent. 𝗤𝘂𝗃𝗂 is considered safer and more environmentally friendly than thiosulfate, although the recoverable gold is less. Then there is also the leaching technique using 𝗤𝗂𝗃𝗂𝗰𝗁, where the initial stage is pre-treatment, which involves removing unwanted materials from PCBs such as plastics, ceramics, silicon, and more. There is also a material grinding process until it becomes very small. This aims to allow the chemicals to fully contact the innermost parts of the components other than gold, so the release of metals can be done better. After pre-treatment, the next step is the hydrometallurgy process, which begins with washing with nitric acid. The substance is slowly introduced into the metals and left for 1 hour. This process must apply to dissolve metals from unwanted materials. Then the metal precipitate is reacted with 𝗤𝗂𝗃𝗂𝗃𝗂, which is a mixture of HCl and HNO3 compounds in a 3:1 ratio. The solution then undergoes a filtration process using a filter to separate other metals from gold. FeSO4 is added to the filtrate 3 times to precipitate pure gold. The precipitate then undergoes a washing process with warm water to remove residual chemicals. After that, the gold precipitate is dried using a hot air blower. The next process is heating with fire until it melts in a graphite crucible and sprinkling borax powder to remove dust and any remaining metal content in the precipitate. This method is always the preferred choice because it is fast and effective. Once cast, the gold is removed from the graphite crucible, and while still hot, it is immediately immersed in water.